Hey everyone, so this is The Dialogue, and today I'm looking at President Bashaar al-Assad in regard to the sarin gas attack on Syrian civilians a few days ago. I'm going to be looking at his body language, his micro-expressions, and his overall demeanour, and really, I want to figure out, was he ultimately responsible or not for this particular attack? Let's take a look at some of this interview.
No one has any other information. We don't know if the whole pictures or videos that we've been seeing are true or fabricated. That's why we asked for investigation into what happened in Khan Sheikhoun. This is the second. Al-Qaeda sources say that the attack happened at 6:30.
So if we look at his overall body language, he is pretty stiff sitting in his seat. So he's waiting for the onslaught of the questions. Although he's got open body language, mainly he's got his arms covering his nether regions, and so he is guarded to a degree as well. So
in the morning, while the Syrian attack in the same area was at around noon, between 11:30 to 12. So they're talking about two different stories or events. So there was no order to make any attack. We don't have any chemical weapons. We gave up our arsenal a few years ago. Even if we have them, we wouldn't use them, and we had never used our chemical arsenal in our history.
Okay, so that seems pretty congruent. As you can see, his head was shaking, and that is a natural part of mannerisms, we say, when we're actually being congruent.
Take it seriously, but our impression that the West, mainly the United States, is hand in glove with the terrorists. They fabricated the...
So he's saying that the Western USA is hand in glove with the terrorists, and he's congruent, and his body is going along with that
whole story in order to have a pretext for the attack. It wasn't attack because of what happened in Khan Sheikhoun. It's one event. It's a stage one, the play that we saw on the social networking and on TVs, the propaganda, and the stage two is the military attack. That's what we believe.
So his overall demeanour is congruent. He's using his mannerisms to get across what he's saying.
Happening because it's only few days, 2 days, 48 hours between the play and the attacks, and no investigations, no concrete evidence about anything. The only thing were allegations and propaganda, and then strike. The allegation itself by Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra Front, so we don't have to investigate who. They announced it. It's under their control, no one else. About the attack, as I said, it's not clear whether it happened or not, because how can you verify a video? You have a lot of fake videos now, and you have the proof that those videos were fake, like the white helmets, for example. They are Al-Qaeda, they are Al-Nusra Front, who shaved their beard, wore white hats, and appeared as a humanitarian.
Now, what I can say with that is that there is some evidence to prove that he is actually telling the truth. There are some rebels who were caught being white helmets, as well as rebels, supporting the rebels. There's video online for that.
Heroes, which is not the case. The same people were killing Syrian soldiers, and you have the proof.
You have the proof, and he is nodding his head.
On the internet, anyway. So the same thing for that chemical attack. We don't know whether those dead children, were they killed in Khan Sheikhoun? Were they dead at all?
So he's not believing that they were dead.
Who committed the attack if there was attack?
Side eye. So that side look was a side eye. Who committed that attack? Who was the person who did this? That is a non-trusting look.
What the material? You have no information.
And there was a slight degree of disgust with what he's saying. I'll just go back a teeny bit.
What the material? You have no information at
the
all.
material,
Nothing
no information.
No one investigated.
Disgust.
So you think it's a fabrication?
Definitely. 100% for us it's fabrication.
Okay, so that's not quite singing. He was sort of shaking his head. Well, absolutely. So that's not quite congruent. I'm not sure what's going through his head or if he's got other ideas as to what might have happened.
We don't have arsenal. We're not going to use it. And you have many indications.
So that's congruent. They don't have arsenal shaking of the head.
If you don't have the proof, because no one has concrete information or evidence.
Okay, so far it's only been a few minutes into the interview. Look, I'm not saying anything like duping delight or a slight smile here and there or just an overall demeanour of not believing what he's saying.
The terrorists were advancing in many fronts, including the suburbs of Damascus and Hama, which is not far from Khan Sheikhoun. Let's suppose we have this arsenal, and let's suppose that we have the will.
Let's suppose we have this arsenal to a heart.
To use it. Why didn't we use it when we were retreating And
Okay, so you can see there was a slight tick up on below his eye. He's nervous.
the terrorists were advancing.
Again, there's disgust in his mouth when he's talking about this as well.
Actually, the timing of that
Open
attack
palm.
or alleged attack was when the Syrian army was advancing very fast, and actually the terrorists were collapsing. So why to use it if you have it and if you have the will? Why to use it at that timing, not when you are in a difficult situation? Logically, this is first. Second, if you want to use it, if you have it and if you want to use it, again, this is, if we suppose, why?
So what I'm saying is he's becoming more and more animated and confident with his speech as he goes along.
Use it against civilians, not use it against the terrorists that we are fighting. Third, in that area, we don't have army, we don't have battles, we don't have any let's say object in Khan Sheikhon, and it's not strategic area. Why to attack it? Or what the reason? Militarily, I'm talking about military from a military point of view. The foundation for us morally, we wouldn't do it if we have it. We wouldn't have the will because morally this is not acceptable. We won't have this.
So it's reasonably congruent with what he's saying.
The support of the public. So every indication is against the whole story. So we can say that this play that they staged doesn't hold together. The story is not convincing by any means. If it was conditional.
Yeah.
If
He's talking about Trump and his no longer supporting al-Assad.
they are serious in fighting terrorists, we're going to be partner. And I said not only the United States, whoever wants to fight the terrorists, we are a partner.
So he's got open palms, open demeanor. He wants partners to help fight the rebels.
This is basic for us, basic principle, let's say. Actually, what has been proven recently, as I said earlier, that they are handing gloves with those terrorists. The United States and the West, they're not serious in fighting the terrorists. And yesterday, some of their
So he's pointing and he's getting direct.
statements were defending ISIS. They were saying that ISIS doesn't have chemical weapons. They are defending ISIS against the Syrian government and the Syrian army. So actually, you cannot talk about partnership between us who
Hand to heart, so that's what he's feeling.
work against the terrorists and who fight the terrorism, and the others who are supporting explicitly the terrorists. Anyway, I was very cautious in saying any opinion regarding him before he became president and after. I always say, let's see what he's going to do. We wouldn't comment on statements. So actually, this is the first proof that it's not about the president in the United States. It's about the regime. And the deep state or the deep regime in the United States is still the same. It doesn't change. The president is only one of the performers.
Retaliate if it's happened again?
Yeah. Retaliation, we are talking about missiles coming from hundreds of miles, which is out of our reach. But actually, the real war in Syria is not about those missiles. It's about supporting the terrorists. This is the most dangerous part of this war.
And he's congruent, so he's nodding his head that is the most dangerous part of his war is those who side with the terrorists.
And our response is going to be what we started from the very first day, is smashing the terrorists everywhere.
So he doesn't quite believe that they have the power to actually smash the terrorists, even though they're on a winning streak at the moment. I'm going to look at his voice now. So if you listen to his voice, unfortunately for him, he does need to work on it. He's in his little voice, his high voice. He doesn't have a lot of depth to his voice. It doesn't resonate throughout his whole body. So for him, he really needs to work on it if he wants to become credible with the average punter out there about foreigners. But it really does. When you work on your resonance, when you work on the depth to your voice, or where your natural voice sits instead of sitting high up in his intellect, then people can just relate to it a bit more. So he's got the same sort of thing going on as Sean Spicer. They both work from the intellect, mostly. Overall, I find him somewhat congruent. There are a couple of instances where I find that he doesn't believe in himself or his confidence in his country's ability overall. Basically, I feel that he's being genuine considering. So what is really going on? Thanks for watching. This is The Dialogue.